So far, we've only been working with strings in Python, such as words or names. For example, name is equal to Craig, pet is equal to dog. These are strings, these are words, they're sequences of characters, and as we've learned from a previous video, strings need to be delimited, so we need to indicate the beginning point and the end point of a string. But we don't have to be limited to just strings in Python. We can also work with numeric-based data. When you want to work with a number as is, you don't delimit it in the same way as a string. You simply put the number as is. So for example, if I wanted to create a number here, let's say number of items, and let's say we want to have 10 items, you would say number of items equals the number 10 or the integer 10. So we don't have to put quotes around that because this item that we're actually storing, this piece of data, is not a word. It's actually going to be a number. And it's very important because this is perfectly fine in Python, but that means the word 10 or the string 10, which is not what we want. We want the actual number 10. By leaving off the delimiter, what we've done is we've given ourselves the ability to perform math operations on this number, which allows us to perform calculations and write programs that actually figure out answers to larger problems. So we call this thing a numeric literal. So in the same way that pet is equal to dog, the quote dog quote, that is a string literal. The number 10 here, that is a numeric literal. So a numeric literal is literally that number that we're storing in our program. Python supports two different numeric data types. We call them integers and floating point numbers, sometimes abbreviated ints and floats. So, for example, let's say num dogs is equal to 100. That is an integer right here. There is no decimal point. It's a whole number, and integers can be both positive and negative. If you want to create a negative number, let's say items in inventory is equal to -5. I know that doesn't make much sense, but you can put the negative sign in front of any number, and that will go ahead and mark the number as negative. So integers can be both positive and negative. Floating point numbers have to have a decimal point in them. So for a floating point literal, we could do something like cost per item is equal to $1.99, 1.99. So floating point numbers can also be both positive and negative, but for floating point literals, we have to include the decimal point when declaring the variable. Note that you do not place formatting characters in this. So I would not put $199, nor would I do this, cost per item, like $1 million, right? That's not allowed as well. You don't put the commas in there. If we wanted to store the number 1,000,000.00, you would simply store it like this. You don't put in any formatting characters. If you want to add those later, check out the video from next week where we talk about how to format numeric data types.